Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley, the host of It's Your Life with Dr. James Cooley. Tune into my show every day, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And also tune in to the best of the James Cooley Show. This is where we teach you how to dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. This is the It's Your Life Weekend Review.
Hey, this is Todd, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. Welcome to the It's Your Life Week in Review. First up, we're going to play part of an interview with guest Karen Howard, author of Upset is Optional, Say Goodbye to Unnecessary Suffering. Listen in as she discussed with James how to not get upset and how to not let people have power over you.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. I tell you, this guest that we got is already started educating us already, and I am so I'm off into this because I get upset, Michelle get upset, you get upset, and sometimes we don't know why we upset, So we got to learn how to stay calm. So I want to pick it back up. Michelle, you got this one.
Thank you, James. Karen, a word wall. I love that. And I love the way you phrase that. Can you tell us what is a word wall and what does it entail as far as staying calm and avoid being upset? So I guess this is one of the 4 ways. Am I correct?
Yeah, it is one of the practices that's actually pretty handy to have. And like me, and you're at your computer all day long, sometimes it's just really great to put up these words sort of on sticky notes on the edge, just have them there as a reminder. Mm-hmm. And if you do start your day designing your mood, you're going to have some words that are going to come to you, like, how do I want my mood to be? And it could be peaceful. It could be calm. So those are great words for your word wall. Really good words. Like if you're going to put like hungry on your word wall, you want to eat all day, right? So it's kind of like if you put frustrated on your word wall, you're going to be frustrated. But if you have these other reframed approaches to how you want to be during that day, and if you set your mood in the morning, hopeful, generous, welcoming, if those are your words for the day and you're constantly reminding yourself of them, you're going to stay in your mood and your designed way of being much more successfully.
How important is, I know you said a specific word, not specific words, but positive words. Can it be phrases as well, whether if it's a Bible scripture or maybe a poem or a line from a poem, things that uplift your mood and have your mind staying in a positive frame?
Absolutely. Affirmations are like, some people are so skilled at using them. My brain doesn't work in that long snippets. Like I need so one of the things that I often do is I wear something around my wrist and I'll just find myself flicking it on random occasion. And it reminds me that I have something I'm supposed to be thinking about. And if it's an affirmation that I am well versed in and can repeat very quickly, I will do that. More likely it's upset is optional for me, or finding my, am I peaceful? And with that, and I think this is a really important part of the teaching. With that is doing a body scan. Because it's not just that you're saying the words, right? It's that you're feeling how your body is in that moment. Because that's the root of all disease that's driven by upset. Suffering is going to happen. That is just part of life. But yes. Upset can be optional. And if you do a body scan and you're just checking through and your shoulders are up here and your stomach kind of tight, or whatever your triggers that you'll learn if you start to pay attention are, that those are the kinds of things that where you go, I got to let it go. And that's, and where is that mood that I designed? What is that word wall word that I need to go to?
Life is trials and tribulations happen every day in life, especially, you see what's going on in the news, whether it's your local news or the world news or international news. So a person viewing this, they know what's going on. How do they find or put up a positive, whether it's an affirmation or a word that is positive despite what they see and what they hear, what's going on in the world?
It's kind of a combination of practices at that point, really. So you've got a word. Let's say it's just peaceful. Like that was my mentor's word every single day, to be peaceful. And if you're doing that check-in, you're watching the national news or the local news, and you're doing that check-in, and it's like, no peace here. How do you bring yourself back, right? So it's like that stop, check in, breathe. So that is a huge, and honestly, in the beginning, you may have to do that 30 times a day, or just in one day, in an hour, you could find yourself. At some point, you're going to want to go, I think I need to remove myself from this. Now, that may not be possible at the dinner table, but in other circumstances, you can actually remove yourself from that. The key is actually knowing where it is in your body that you feel it and being able to reframe and adjust that.
So before we talk about reframing, we're not saying, or you're not saying to be totally oblivious what's going on as far as denial of realistic things in the world or within your life. It's about finding that peaceful, whether affirmational word that changes your mindset, even though realistically what is truly going on, whether it's your surroundings or whether it's in the world. Is that a fair statement?
It's very fair. I mean, I have words that I tend to go to that are not very useful for my health. And they could be demented. It comes up now and then for me. And so I will literally find a fantasy kind of word to, like, if I start to say that, I'll just make up a word, like, or I'll go to defeatable, or Disney, just something to break it, just a word that just flips it. And I have sort of a set sort of guideline about those kinds of words that I use. And that's really helpful, because then, and also being an observer, if you can step back, and this kind of requires that you are an observer, because one, you're observing yourself most importantly, because you really do know where you need to know where you feel this in your body. And then when you feel that, you can, I'm an observer now. I'm observing what's happening in my body, and I can be an observer to whatever the incident is that is distracting me or making me upset. And it can be anything. So, I know that when we say joyful things, or we go to wedding, we cry. So you can't tell me that happy things don't make you feel a certain way inside. So do sad and upsetting things.
Most definitely. For me, like I said, it depends on the person. It could be a word or it could be a picture. Me, I like looking at puppies. That puts a smile on my face. Or the other day, I saw a Tweety bird in Sylvester, and I just started laughing. I'm like, oh, if only it was a bird that looked like Tweety. But
so imagine what if you're watching the news or whatever it is, and you're like, Tweety bird, just at the TV. I mean, it sounds silly, but it really does have an impact.
Well, let's talk about, I know we're going in a couple of minutes, we're getting ready to take a break, but let's talk about number 2, reframing your reactions. Can you tell the audience why this is important? And this is one of my favorite, this is one of his favorite words, reactions, to react, and he'll explain a little bit more to you. But why is that so important, reframing your reactions?
So life is messy. And it's always going to be messy. But the reality is that it doesn't have to be mad. You can frame this to live with something. You can pick, you can take a larger mind view of it than a small mind. And there's a story about me and my relationship with my mother that's a really good example of that goes over and over time. And how could I be at peace with something that was so upsetting for such a huge portion of my life? So I chose a larger story. I chose to make a bigger story about it, because we all live in story. But we're dealing with phenomena. So keep reframing that into a bigger story is a huge component of that. And honestly, when you're that upset, ask yourself this question: if I die right now, would it be worth it? That's reframing.
That is reframing. And what Michelle was saying was, it's a couple ways that you can look at things when you are presented with a situation. And you could either create, meaning that take the time to think about how you're going to respond, or you react. Most of the time when you react, you find yourself in trouble because you make a quick decision that if you would have thought about it for a little bit, you probably would have came up with a different answer. And by the way, create and react, they got the same letters in it. So it means opposite things. Yeah. So, but a lot of people don't know that. But yes.
Good call on that one. We're going to get ready to take another break, but we're going to come back. We're going to pick it up. I want to talk about your book when we get back. I want to talk about all the things that you got in there. And I want all the teachings that you got. And I'm sure the audience want to hear about that as well. So we're going to take a station break. And wherever you're watching us at or listening to us on, if you're watching us on over 65 platforms, all you have to do is just go to the comments. Ask any questions that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Or you can pick up that phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, the true life coming of age story by James J.C. Cooley. Using humor, wit, and engaging storytelling, James paints a picture about his arrival in a rural Deep South town and realization that life would never be the same. Cooley lays out his struggle to adjust from city life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
The J.C. Cooley Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was started in October of 2014. The J.C. Cooley Foundation continues to strive to expand its programs and offerings to the youth, young adults, and citizens of our great communities nationwide and overseas. We hope that you'll be able to take part in one or more of the many exciting events that we're offering this year and experience firsthand the pride we take in supporting our cause. It's our mission to equip the youth of today for the challenges of tomorrow, and we rely heavily on the generosity of individuals and business owners for support. Without the assistance of community-minded individuals just like you, we wouldn't be able to serve our youth each year. We ask that you make a commitment to support our annual appeal by making a cash donation. This year's goal is $50,000. Your generosity will assist us in making a difference in the lives of the youth in our community. You can give online at CooleyFoundation.org. Remember that every donation makes a difference regardless of size. The J.C. Cooley Foundation thanks you in advance for your contribution.
There's much truth in A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, as all of us journey through life's precious gift of time, just like I have. In the new audio version of his book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, you can join James as he shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. This is a must listen for anyone who thinks they're stuck in life or needs to understand that their current situation is not their final destination. Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet is the unfiltered truth to provide hope for the future by challenging you to refuse to become a victim of life's circumstance and dare to become an overcomer, because a bigger, better, and more impactful life awaits you. Get the new audio version of his book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by Dr. James Cooley on Amazon or wherever books are sold.
It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and my guest here, Karen Howard, is educating us and teaching us on how to reframe, on how to just calm down. And I got a comment from Billy Harper, one of my best friends and my best friend at work. He said he used the 90-second rule. Not sure what that is. Do you know what the 90-second rule is, Karen?
I'm going to guess that if you're something has triggered you, you're not going to say anything for a full 90 seconds, which is a really long time. you know better than anybody, 90 seconds is a long time. That's my guess.
And the 90 seconds, I guess, will give you an opportunity to rethink and reframe your thoughts. I'm assuming that's what that is.
So my story of reframing, a recent one that's not in the book is, it's not a great name to have these days, this name Karen. And I was literally losing my mind. And I would, I work out, I do a boot camp and some avid exercise, and I'd be working out with weights and nothing was working. And I was on a run and I said, I got to reframe this. And so I changed it from basic old Karen to caring. And I have a niece who is a graphic artist and did a logo for me that says, I'm caring, Karen. It's like so brilliant what she did. And I was like, I could breathe again. But it took a lot longer than 90 seconds for me to come to that conclusion. It was more like, 90 hours.
So I know we still talking about reframing, but what are some practical tips for reframing and kind of getting rid of the negative emotions and opening up to bring a different perspective in your mindset so that you're able to get back on track and able to push that negative energy away?
And I think part of when I think about reframing, I often think about it being situational. But the reality is some of our situations are not short term. Some of them are really long term. So it is kind of a commitment to, and this is the thing about these practices, they're also interwoven, that they really do beautifully work with one another. So in a situation, if you're estranged from a member of the family, which I can speak to with pretty good authority, it can take some time and you need to be patient and gentle with yourself. And as you're doing that, remember that you also must be patient and gentle with the person that is in your life creating this havoc and the people around you are having to listen to you. So I think it's that level of awareness about self and about understanding that when you are doing this, you are spewing, you are throwing up on people with words. And that's where you need to really be careful about the words that you choose. I mean, because they really do have enormous impact. We know that with kids growing up and things that we shouldn't say that we sometimes do, and people get hurt. So I think there's just, it's a combination of how you listen. Don't be a passive listener. Be a really active listener. Ask into their conversation. Don't wait for your opportunity to respond. These are some of the other practices. Yeah.
I like that because, just like the old saying, look, listen, and learn. And, as long as you're learning from these things, it formulates the mindset on positive things, I believe. So how can focusing on actionable steps to take improve the situation as well as foster a more positive and proactive attitude? And we ain't talked about attitude yet. But attitude, like I say, attitude will make or break you. So it's formulating the right attitude about anything or any situation that you might run into. If you can focus on the right attitude and just like I mentioned to you a few minutes ago about react. Yeah. You're going to do something, you want to hit somebody, you want to say something. And once it comes out, when you say something or you do those things, you can't take it back. You mentioned a minute ago about certain things that people say, especially to kids or whatever. I can remember a lot of things that was said to me, and I still remember the day, and it wasn't good. but I could have, reacted or did certain things. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I'm guessing that you probably had guides around you who wouldn't let you fall to that, we could call it victimhood, right? So there are people strong enough around you who were able to reframe your vision of who you are. And so I think in large part, it's about being very deliberate in the day. Do not wake up accidentally and expect that your day is going to go as according to plan. Figure out how you want to be in the world. Start your day there, and then figure out how to remind yourself that that's what you want to do all day long. Make that commitment to yourself. Find that way to remind yourself, whatever it is. I mean, screensavers are great. Am I being peaceful today across your screen? And then when you don't notice it, change it. Lipstick on your mirror in the morning. Be bold, be innovative. I mean, think about all the angry drivers, James. And I have a friend who has cured herself of road rage, who would just honk at any sort of what was termed egregious driving, right? So the ability to feel it and stop it before it just happens is part of the teaching.
You said she cured herself from road rage. I mean, every time it was a haunt or whatever to try to get back. And a lot of people think that, I guess, it makes them feel good at that time. But
they think they're right. They know they're right. So they're going to make sure the rest of the world knows they're right. What do you gain from that? All you gain is driving like this, as tight can be. You don't gain anything. You don't even get ahead of the person. You're still driving behind him, or you're breaking the law to not drive behind him. So it's that upset is optional. It truly is optional. The question is how are you going to move through the day, and how are you going to remind yourself that you keep that calm?
One of the steps you talk about is mood setting. What do you mean by that?
Design your day, design your mood every single day, even if it's the same thing every day. Before your feet hit the floor, lay in bed and pick a mood. You're going to pick a mood where you're angry? No, you're never going to do that. Are you going to pick a mood where you go, okay, I want my day to be peaceful? Or maybe you're doing it when you're walking the dogs. Or maybe you do it in the car. But design your mood and figure out your reminders to keep you in your mood, because you're going to slip out of that mood. Things are going to happen. Life is messy.
Uh-huh.
And how do you get back? How do you get back? It's not that you don't blame yourself if you fall out of your mood. Like this is practice. It's like breathing. We do it all the time, but we don't do it well. If you're going to be a swimmer, runner, you're going to cycle, you're going to play an instrument, you better know how to breathe from your diaphragm. And it's all those pieces of the puzzle that go into making your day one of ease.
Well, you're right. I mean, a lot of times we don't even think about that. I mean, I know that we wake up, at least I do, and I try to figure out what I'm going to do that day and how I'm feeling at the time that I'm waking up, right? Most of the time I wake up, I'm extremely happy because I got a beautiful wife that I'm laying next to, and she always keeps me calm, so, but I like what you said is figure out your mood before you even get out of bed. Billy Harper got the 90 seconds actually allow you to gather your thoughts, think of the positive things that will bring positive thoughts rather than reacting with a negative force. Mood controls is basically mind control. He hit it out.
Well said. Well
said. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that you are right. And that's the first time I've heard that is that decide your mood before you even get up out of bed. And that gives you something to work with.
That gives you something to work with during the day. And like I said, I think a lot of people that have gone through these practices choose one and stick with it. That's always been sort of my MO. It doesn't have to be that way at all. mean, you could have some big event, and you may have a specific mood that you really need for that. So,
wow, we're down to the last 2 minutes, but I got one more question. How can people who feel overwhelmed by life be reassured that their life matters?
That's a big question for 2 minutes. I think books have been written on that. I'm going to say, first, take care of yourself. Like, start breathing. Start paying attention to your body. Like, really understand what the implications of the things that are happening around you are causing physically. That will do more to save your headspace, heart, and physicality, and that of the people around you. They will reward you for that. That is a gift of love that you can give out to people. So that would be my first step in that one. And then I guess I should just recommend everybody go and buy the book Upset is Optional from Amazon.
I think that's a great idea that they go and buy the book because you have got certainly a lot of great information in the book. And actually, Michelle and I are going to buy the book. So we're looking forward to it. Karen, we're out of time. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. You've been an absolutely wonderful guest.
We got to take a station break, but we're going to come back. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
The J.C. Cooley Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was started in October of 2014. The J.C. Cooley Foundation continues to strive to expand its programs and offerings to the youth, young adults, and citizens of our great communities nationwide and overseas. We hope that you'll be able to take part in one or more of the many exciting events that we're offering this year and experience firsthand the pride we take in supporting our cause. It's our mission to equip the youth of today for the challenges of tomorrow, and we rely heavily on the generosity of individuals and business owners for support. Without the assistance of community-minded individuals just like you, we wouldn't be able to serve our youth each year. We ask that you make a commitment to support our annual appeal by making a cash donation. This year's goal is $50,000. Your generosity will assist us in making a difference in the lives of the youth in our community. You can give online at CooleyFoundation.org. Remember that every donation makes a difference regardless of size. The J.C. Cooley Foundation thanks you in advance for your contribution.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley, the host of It's Your Life with Dr. James Cooley. Tune into my show every day, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And also tune in to the best of the James Cooley Show. This is where we teach you how to dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. This is the It's Your Life Weekend Review.
Welcome back to the It's Your Life Week in Review. It's Your Life can be heard Monday through Friday, 2 to 3 p.m. And also on this show, we play the best of Dr. James Cooley's interviews throughout the week. In the second half, we're playing James's interview with Dr. Obari Cartman, community psychologist, talking about the very important issue of mental health. Have a listen.
Listen up. It's Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Yeah.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and I tell you, my co-host, Dr. Mike Mantel, just like I told you, you chose a winner because what Dr. Obari is talking about is exactly what we need to hear. But we need to hear from not just from a minority perspective, because we all have to live together on this earth. So we have to find common grounds where all the races come in and make sure that we as people are valued, regardless of whether you're the majority or the minority. Now, Dr. OB mentioned something where the world is trending. The minority will be the majority. around the world. And so we need to get rid of all of those things that separates us right now and learn to come together as people. So I tell you what, my viewers out there, my viewers and listeners, if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on, ask any questions that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Or you can pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Radio station KCB Crew will get you an answer. Hey, I want to pick up Dr. Obi from what you said, because I'm a prodigy of the project. I'm a prodigy of a mother that had 10 kids, about 6 different fathers, and never was married. And I was always told that I was not going to amount to nothing.
Yeah.
Because of the situation and circumstances that I was in. But it ain't about me. The only thing I'm trying to say is your current situation is not your final destination.
For sure.
That means that whatever situation and circumstances that you might be in today, or as a kid, or all of those other things, as long as you have some faith in you, have some faith into a higher power, and understand that, it might be like this today, but give it a chance.
Yeah.
Those situations that I was in led me coming up poverty, gangs related, all that, projects, shooting, made me stronger, made me hungry. And my point is, I hope that the communities that we are serving, we have kids. I know we got kids that grew up like me.
Yeah, for sure.
But they need to understand they got purpose.
Yeah.
And I think some of the things that you are doing, I mean, you're very successful. You're a doctor, you're this and that. You don't have to focus on those things, but it's part of your DNA. It's part of my DNA. It's part of Dr. Mike's DNA. We have to focus on the betterment of our future leaders of tomorrow, mankind.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree completely. The future is really dependent upon those of us right now creating those links between young people, helping them see purpose and possibility. I think we have to be careful to encourage, as we are, the truth, which I agree completely with, that their circumstances do not determine their destiny, that there's a lot of grit and character and discipline that can transform their lives and possibilities. And at the exact same time, we also have to contribute to conversations about and work around equity, around fairness, around changing the conditions that young people are in so that they have a wider range of choices to choose from. We're resilient, right? We're tough. We can make it through, and we don't always have to. And I think there's ways that we can create societies and collaborations and partnerships where certain children don't have to work harder than other children. Depending on what zip code you're in, should not determine how much food you get, how much access to healthcare you get, what your life expectancy is. And so there's fairness also, that the mental health world is not really good at connecting to. And we focus a lot on individual functioning and personal sort of like achievement, but we also need to think about the larger context and get involved in policy work, get involved in some of the systems change work, become advocates for redistribution of wealth, and try to find ways to think about mental health in a collective way, because it is possible, but not always fair, to expect children to work as hard as they have to when other children have much easier routes towards the success that we all deserve. So both are true. I think we also need to keep.
When I was in, I think it was 8th grade, met with my 8th grade teacher, my parents, back going into high school, and she said, "Mrs. Mantell, Michael, me, is not college material. I am not college material." My mother had 2 words for her, which I don't want to repeat on the air. You know what they are.
Yeah.
And she pulled me out of there, and she said, "Don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about." My mother grew up in the projects in Newark. I visited my grandparents there every week. I understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So when I got my PhD at the University of Pennsylvania, my mother pulled me out of the graduation. I said, it's not over. Where were we going? We're going to go to the cemetery. Cemetery?
Mm-hmm.
She said, yeah, we're going to go visit Mrs. So-and-so, your 8th grade teacher. I don't want to mention her name.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to take that diploma and shove it down her. You know what? My point being this. Yes, we want fairness. We want everyone to have. We want everyone to have equal. It's not the way it is, and we don't succumb to that. Well, since I don't have this, therefore I give up.
Mm-hmm.
JC is saying it. You're saying it. All of our friends say it. I don't care what I have or don't have. It's irrelevant. And you're the example in the community. I want to hear more about some of the primary mental health challenges that you see people facing. I think a big one, and I know that Dr. Michelle talked about this at the beginning, is accessibility to mental health services.
For sure.
I have a young man who needs medication. He has bipolar disorder. Called to make an appointment. Sorry, we can't see her for 7 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
7 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that's like?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you talk about that a little bit in the community that you serve?
No, I mean, I think that we've done a really good work in reducing some of the stigmas, which means we have more people seeking services right now, and we have a shortage of providers. There's a bottleneck of the relationship between the need and the opportunities. And so those stories are very common in every city I go to. I meet people asking me for referrals. And I used to call my friends and say, can you guys spaces? And can you please take this one more? And because we getting burned out as the providers, it means that the people are kind of out here just like trying to figure it out on their own. And so access is a huge problem. One of the ways we're trying to deal with that is expand our notions of what a service provider looks like, and leaning on peer support, leaning on lived experiences, creating sort of group support systems that don't require like a professional licensed counselor all the time, but just to create spaces where people can come together and support each other. Peace circles and restorative circles, those kind of things are more accessible sometimes. But we also need to change the systems to make sure that everybody has access. We also need, and that's part of what we talk about around policy, around advocacy. It's not just the therapeutic individual work, but also thinking about how do we create more pipelines for more professionals to come into? How do we encourage young people to enter these fields? And how do we also make sure that they're culturally relevant when people do come into the office? Because sometimes people do finally make it through the waiting list and then are met with resistance or don't feel seen and heard or feel like they're misdiagnosed. And then they have a negative experience and then don't come back or discourage other people from coming back because of the racism in the healthcare complexes. And so there's a bunch of different layers of issues that we are working on right now.
A number of years ago, there was a lot of talk about how people want to see a therapist or a doctor from their own background. They feel comfortable if it's their own. What about that? Is that an issue today? And I want you to, we don't have a lot of time left. We have 1 minute left, but I want to get into stigma, particularly in the Black community, for seeking mental health services.
Yeah. There's definitely, I think, more preference still for seeing someone of your same background and complexion and experience. I think that helps with the idea of the stigma that someone would feel like they were judged by someone that doesn't really understand where they're coming from. But I also think that people are more open to that and can get a lot out of having to tell their story to someone that is different from them, because it forces you to have to articulate and have to really cross bridges. And there can be a lot of therapeutic sort of benefit to that by itself. So I encourage people to get help where you can, and that it doesn't take the same person to help you, particularly now when there's a lack of access.
Wow. This is such an incredible conversation that we're having right here, and it needs to be heard. And Dr. OB, I can tell, man, you done did the research, you're doing it, you're living it, it's in your heart, you bleed it. So we're going to take a station break, but we're going to come back. We're going to pick up from here. And Dr. Ballender got a question for you as soon as we get back. But I tell you what, whichever platform that you all are watching this on, all you have to do is just go to the platform, go to the comments. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Or you can pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Let me tell you one more time. That's 1-888-344-1170. Remember, it's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Country Boy, City Boy, a journey that ain't over yet. The true life coming of age story by James J.C. Cooley. Using humor, wit, and engaging storytelling, James paints a picture about his arrival in a rural deep south town and realization that life would never be the same. Cooley lays out his struggle to adjust from city life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, a journey that ain't over yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
The J.C. Cooley Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was started in October of 2014. The J.C. Cooley Foundation continues to strive to expand its programs and offerings to the youth, young adults, and citizens of our great communities nationwide and overseas. We hope that you'll be able to take part in one or more of the many exciting events that we're offering this year and experience firsthand the pride we take in supporting our cause. It's our mission to equip the youth of today for the challenges of tomorrow, and we rely heavily on the generosity of individuals and business owners for support. Without the assistance of community-minded individuals just like you, we wouldn't be able to serve our youth each year. We ask that you make a commitment to support our annual appeal by making a cash donation. This year's goal is $50,000. Your generosity will assist us in making a difference in the lives of the youth in our community. You can give online at CooleyFoundation.org. Remember that every donation makes a difference regardless of size. The J.C. Cooley Foundation thanks you in advance for your contribution.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you what, everybody's a winner. Charles Van and I wrote those songs, The Four C's and Winner, and right now, we wrote those 5 years ago. We just now pushing it out there because a winner, victory, 4 C's, create, collaborate, commit with confidence in everything that you do. And that's what the world needs now. And we need great doctors, great folks, especially like these two doctors that we got on right now. And Dr. OB, I'm telling you, I am totally, thoroughly impressed. And you know, I mean, you're bringing it, brother. You're bringing it.
I appreciate you, brother.
And it need to be here. And Dr. Mike, he's just a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I look forward to having him on this show every single Wednesday. But we're going to have to increase that a little bit if he have the time. Because I learned so much from him. But my thing is this, culturally and how the world is today, we have to figure out a way to bridge the gap where everybody know they got purpose. We cannot be in a mindset where if black, white, green, purple, gold, you feel that you're more superior to somebody else because of money or what a status or whatever that might be. Hey, Todd, I want to get your thoughts real quickly on this before I get back to the show. What are your thoughts on the show so far?
No, it's a really good show, and we only have 9 minutes left, so let's get right back to the experts.
Okay.
Wow, 9 minutes left.
I turn it back over to you, Dr. Mike.
Well, I just wrote something on a side note here. We were talking about cultural identity, hip hop, and so forth, and we know there's hip hop and there's hip hop. There's good pop and bad pop, and some of the messages are not very good. Some of them are beautiful, but ultimately, research seems to suggest that Black Americans have a very strong, positive sense of their racial and cultural identity through all the things that you just brilliantly talked about. You take all these things from the culture and you show how that can create better psychological well-being. When you have a positive sense of self, despite receiving all the negative messages, you're a minor, all the rest of that stuff, boy, that really helps build. The eroding of cultural identity, maybe eroding very important coping strategies like resilience. What thoughts do you have about that?
I think that's the center of it. I think that is the center of what wellness needs to be for Black and people of color. That it can't just be the same generic coping and managing within a sick system to get people to get back to work and just be more effective cogs in the wheel. If we're going to do what Dr. JC is suggesting, which is to collaborate, to build bridges, to have true diversity, if you imagine like pieces of a puzzle coming together, those pieces have to be whole first before they can come to join collaboratively in any effective way. And the African American piece has been distorted and commodified and broken. And we have to do that work within ourselves to restore the cultural identity. Because you talk to a lot of Black folk today, you ask them, what does it mean to be Black? They'll say something negative. It'll be something disparaging. Young people might have sort of this view of Blackness as trauma or descendants of slaves only, that we only just like lucky we're not slaves no more. Or they might see the traumatic conditions that they're in and think Black must mean violence and drugs and sex and the stuff that the bad corporate hip hop presents. Or we might think that, you know, a lot of young people I'm talking to are even disconnected from the jazz culture or hip hop in its purest form, or the things that Black people have created in this country that we can be proud of. So that cultural pride allows you to stand up straight, allows you to move through the world, to have a sense of value and worth that then allows you to seek services when you're down, to decide that you deserve to do the work that we're asking them to do, which is to be disciplined and to transform your communities. But if you don't think that you're worth it, then nothing else will happen. If you don't believe that you deserve good things, then you will unravel every opportunity that comes to you. And that starts with your thinking and your worldview, your identity, your sense of place in the world. And there's been work done against Black folk to make us think that we have not contributed valuably to this place. And part of the therapy has to include just telling the truth about who we are, what we've done, what happened to us, but also the rich resource that we are and that we're connected to ancestrally, so that it's not just a badge of shame, but becomes a sense of purpose and pride.
Sense of purpose and pride is so important, because that requires a refocusing of the mind, in my opinion. And that requires being able to forgive what had happened before in order to move forward, to make things better. That requires being open-minded and understanding that we all are a child of the Most High God, in my case, or whoever you worship. So all of those things are important. Dr. Bellin got a question for you.
Let me respond real quick to that. I love the forgiveness part. I love it. Much easier to forgive when repair is done, right? Also much more easier to forgive if it stopped happening.
Right.
Being in a moment of it's still happening. If y'all watching what's going on with the Supreme Court, I mean, the democracy is eroding in front of our eyes, and Black people of color are going to suffer more than anybody else. So it's hard to forgive when it's present. And I think
Well, let me say something. It's more than, I'm just going to say this. It's more than just Black. It's more than just, it's the Jews, it's everybody. And in my opinion, this is my opinion, yes, the Supreme Court is putting their thumb on everything, in my opinion, about going back to Western civilization. But that's just my opinion only. How it used to be. The world is evolving. And we have to come into where we are at. And we have to be able, as people, I'm talking about Black, white, green, gold, purple, Indian, Jews, everybody, white people, everybody had to live together, in my opinion. And that's coming across a common solution. But you're absolutely right. I write in my book, 1619. I'm a 1619.
Yeah.
It was a different world for us in the motherland. We were plucked from the motherland to come to all of these different countries from what we wasn't familiar with, and try to teach and change our mindset, and where we became slaves. I don't want us to go back to a situation. But I ain't got nothing to show for it. Go back to where you look down at a person just because they're not the same color you are, your same race or religion, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's and the world is globally 3/4 of the world is indigenous, black, brown, or whatever. That's the whole world.
Right.
And but it doesn't. And not politically, I'm not talking politically, but we have to teach our youth and young adults to push away from that and to be open-minded, learn to love. Don't see religion, don't see color, don't see this. I know I'm taking up too much of the time because we only got 2.5 minutes left. But Doc, you got something to say.
Do you remember when Dr. Robin Tiger said, I've seen 5,000 x-rays of people, and when I look at those x-rays, I don't know what color they are. I just see inside. Because I have a saying, I told it to Oprah. I said, look beyond the outside to that which lies within. Look at what someone can become, not what they've been. I remember when my Rabbi Joachim Prince, walked arm in arm with Martin Luther King in Washington. I thought, maybe is a chance. Two people, both of whom come from slave backgrounds, Egyptians and all kinds of other people, thousands of years. We somehow thrive through it. And I think that with the work you're doing, Obari, is just amazing. We need to highlight it more. You're bringing it in every corner of your community, from barbershops to card games to wherever else you can do it. And it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. We're down to the last minute of the show. Obari, I love your style, man. How can people get in touch with you if they want? I mean, real quickly, 20 seconds or less. How can they get in touch with you and list your services or just talk to you?
I got a website, drobaricarbon.com, but I'm on Instagram too at ocartman1.
Wow.
You can spell my name. You can find me.
Hey, I want to thank you so much.
Thank y'all, man.
Absolute pleasure for coming on the show today. Of course, I got to thank my main man, Dr. Michael Mantell.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure.
I'd like to thank Todd, my producer back in my California studios. Most importantly, I want to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another great show. But most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers, our listeners, for tuning into the James Cooley Show. It's your life, Monday through Friday. Oh, well, Sunday to Sunday, actually. 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But I tell you what, always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time.